Welcome to the fourth episode of the Visionary Tax Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, someone that I am very close to, someone that I grew up with, my cousin, Tyler Roach. Tyler is an innovative thinker and entrepreneur with a passion for virtual and augmented reality technology. At 21 years old, he already has 5 years of experience developing this cutting-edge technology, including software applications for a wide variety of VR and AR hardwares. In many different industries as well, including healthcare, therapy, automotive, industrial, architecture, education, and manufacturing. In addition, Tyler has participated in many hackathons and won many awards, including the grand prize at the Penn Apps XIV. Tyler is a very interesting and motivated young entrepreneur, and here is his story. So I think, one thing that everyone wants to know right away is, could you give us 30 to 60 seconds on what you are most excited for in the upcoming virtual and augmented reality industries?
Sure. So, so as you said, I'm Tyler Roach. I am a virtual and augmented reality developer, and I'm super passionate about how this technology is going to impact the world in the future. So where I see this technology going is, I see virtual and augmented reality making an impact on our everyday lives. Virtual reality specifically, I see it being used for training, simulation, the entertainment industry. Really, it's virtual. I think of virtual reality as somewhat of a niche technology, but niche doesn't always mean that it's not going to be big, because technology can be niche, but still it can still impact a lot of different industries. So
definitely. Yeah, and I know you have actually, you've had experience creating your own apps yourself, and I know a lot of them were kind of aimed at more of the training side of things, correct?
So I've created apps for virtual reality and specifically, and some of those apps, most of the apps actually were training oriented. Most of them I created at the company that I worked at previously. I can tell you a little bit about these applications. Obviously, I can't go into too much detail, but I can basically explain about the application. So one of the virtual reality apps that I developed was an application that basically just for the factory, for training people how to use machines in VR.
Interesting.
So definitely was very interesting to work on, and it's really about the hands-on. I think being able to interact with your environment and being able to actually feel like you're actually building this machine, or feel like you're actually doing the training hands-on without actually having to pay for the equipment, or rent out the space, or just
right.
all of the costs of normal training.
Yeah, and I guess for someone who doesn't develop in the virtual and augmented realities, how does that look on your end? I mean, what are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis to make training, manufacturing industry accessible? Like how does that go about? How do you go about developing this?
Sure. So so as far as like developing applications for VR and AR, it's gotten to be really self-explanatory. I think it's something that as a developer myself, and having taught myself, you kind of just it's kind of a very hands-on development experience. It's very 3D oriented. So unlike in the past, where you would have to basically code everything from scratch, including the physics, the math, everything behind the scenes, and you also wouldn't be able to see what you were working on until you actually tried it. Obviously, back then it was 2D as well, right. But as we've gotten into 3D, it's become a lot more. It's become a lot easier to develop because you can see what you're working on, specifically with the Unity engine. So that's the engine that I use and a lot of other developers use. So
Definitely. I know you've always been kind of an innovative thinker and an entrepreneur yourself. You kind of had an interesting path to how to get to where you are now. You know, you had went to Monmouth and then Drexel, and then ultimately backed out and got your Udacity degree. Is that correct? Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that for those that are interested in, VR development and, how you can take a different path than the traditional college degree.
Sure thing. Yeah. So you're correct. Yeah, it's taking another path in life it's scary, and it's not sometimes it's not doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it will be worth it in the end. But I think you really have to do what's best for your goals, and I found that it's become more worthwhile now that I look back. But yeah, so I started, so just where I went to college and my education background, I started off from high school and went to Monmouth University. Monmouth University is a small liberal arts college in New Jersey. I decided to go there because I kind of liked the location, and it seemed like a cool school, and I liked the atmosphere. So I decided to go there, study software engineering, and long story short, I spent a year there, and I learned a lot. I did learn a lot about like computers themselves, and just like how good software is made and developed, and how to tailor to your clients. So, but I just felt like I just felt as if it wasn't innovative enough, and I didn't feel as if and for a lot of other people it would have been fine, because there's a lot of different things you can do in the software development industry. I don't see phones going away in the next 5 years. I think phones will stay for a little while, little bit longer.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope so. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But I just felt like for me and for my goals, I decided to kind of to transfer to a school that was doing more innovative things, that was known for more innovation, and that's Drexel University. So that's kind of where I decided to transfer, and studied interactive digital media, which is basically, if you've ever heard of digital media, it's basically just like media and how you can interact with it. And so I learned a lot about like that kind of stuff. And but again, I kind of decided, it's cool and all, but it was more web focused than anything, and design focused. And you kind of just have to figure out what works best for you. And so after spending a year there, I learned a lot more, but I decided to start working in the field. I already had an internship at an IT company, an innovative IT company that also did VR and AR. So I already had that. So I already had that under my belt. And so, yeah, I just decided that, pursuing a full-time career in the industry was the best option. And here I am. I'm actually in the process of trying to search for another place to go, another place to work, and apply my skills to. So.
Yeah, no, it's it's an interesting background. I think one of the very first memories I had of you is when you were 10 or 12, and you probably had that first VR headset. I don't even know what it was. I'm sure you remember exactly what I'm talking about, but I could always tell that was something you were very interested in. And it's cool to see you now 10, 15 years later, really pursuing what you was most interested as a kid.
Cool. That's awesome. And thanks. I appreciate it. It's true. I mean, I've kind of known for a while that technology was something that excited me. But I never really knew like what what I really wanted to do. And then until VR came around. And so once I heard about virtual reality, I just wanted to learn everything I could about it. And I saw something really promising there. I think I was always someone who was, ambitious. Like I always had some kind of like this ambition inside of me. And so I just decided, like this is going to really, I put it on I remember the first time that I put on a VR headset, it was actually the Oculus DK1. Oculus is a virtual reality company. They had a Kickstarter. And so I ended up ordering this headset for my birthday, and I put it up to my face, and I saw like another world, and I was like, you know what, this is really cool. This is, and it was better than I thought it was going to be at the time. I had no idea, how, what to expect at all. And so I put it on, and I was like, blown away. And I said, you know what, this is what I want to do. And this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And anyway, so I've just been, I think having a passion is important in life. And I think, following that passion is really key. And if you can follow that passion, and you really know like how to follow it and like where to go and stuff, like, I think it's just a matter of learning how to get to where you want to be, I think. And so it's been a good ride,
Yeah, totally. And I think, part of that just comes with experience, getting that hands-on experience, which you have. And, to everyone else out there, just continue to follow your passions. And, I recently went to the virtual reality Los Angeles, as well as the Augmented World Expo. And, someone that kind of just jumped into the space, 6-12 months ago, I was even surprised in how early the development was of a lot of these experiences. And, realizing that this is just such a new industry and everyone is trying to develop, put these experiences together. And, like you mentioned, it just jumping from the 2D to the 3D. You want to talk a little about how early on we are with some of these developments?
Oh, sure. So, the industry is really, I believe it's taking off, and really the biggest thing that I think about when I think of the industry is just how fast it's growing, and how technology doesn't follow a linear curve. It actually follows an exponential curve. So what that means is, as technology becomes cheaper and faster, as technology becomes faster, it also becomes cheaper. And not only is that happening, but it's happening at a quicker rate as time goes on. So basically, it's just accelerating. So some of the developments that I've seen that I've been pretty excited about recently, especially when I went to the Augmented World Expo. I actually went to the 2017 conference, so not this year, but last year. Right. So one of the technologies that I saw that I was impressed with was something called the Meta. The Meta is an augmented reality headset, and it basically allows you to see AR, basically 3D content in front of your vision. So,
right. And I mean, it seems like, now that's, in 2017, they were able to create that. It seems like, all of these games and experiences are now being built on top of that or through that. I think, when I went to the 2018 Augmented World Expo, I saw a lot of the headsets, the eyewears, the smart glasses solutions. It seems like now that that's accessible, everyone's creating these experiences and creating these games. But, what's to come once we create these first experiences? What's the next step in 2, 3, 5 years? What are we going to be doing in these augmented world realities?
Sure. Yeah. So that's a thought that, I've been thinking about a lot. And I think when it comes to these technologies, even though at the current time, it's not as immersive as the average user may want it to be, it's getting there. And so once it does get to that point, I believe that, some of the uses for it are going to be, vast. And I think, in particular, I think AR rather than VR is actually, it's going to actually, be something that we are using all the time, for a lot of different uses. So think of it like, your computer, people these days, also your phone, but people these days are using these electronics, so much because they have so many capabilities, and they can really make things a lot faster and a lot more engaging. And I think that AR is set to do similar things, but it's just going to make it, it's just going to make our lives easier. And I think the possibilities are really endless.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think, being a research and development tax credit, professional, when I go into these types of expos, I start to ask the questions, did you guys know what you guys were creating? And a lot of the answers is, we don't, there's a lot of testing going on. It's like, they're developing these technologies for the first time. And to me, that's the definition of research and development. You have these software developers that are creating, software code or source code, and they're testing it, the integrations. These are all the types of activities that would qualify. And, that's the reason why I stepped into this space, is to be able to educate these, startups in this space that, hey, you guys are all doing research and development. You guys have never created this before. And, I think that's just, part of our mission is to get on the ground floor and educate a lot of these companies. But, being a developer yourself in the space, is this a tax credit, or is this something that people are talking about?
Sure. So, obviously being a developer, I don't have a huge background in the tax industry, but as far as it being some kind of a tax credit, I can see how using this technology in your company, how one would want to take advantage of the tax credits so that they can make the development of these applications so that they can make the development of these applications be cheaper, more affordable. And I think the biggest thing is that there's definitely a lot of uses for this technology, and because of that, I think that getting these tax credits on your business is going to be huge in for actually making an impact on the amount of users and audience that you want to, and that you're capable of. So
Yeah, and the research and development tax credit is really an incentive, to keep these jobs here in the U.S. and really to promote future innovation and to reinvest into your company. And so, even yourself, I would like to kind of hear your thoughts on, when you're developing something, did you know how to do it, and what type of things are you testing when you are creating?
Sure. So when I'm developing, I would say that going into it, it's the idea, usually will start with an idea, and basically, especially from these hackathons, I've done a lot of different hackathons, and won awards at different hackathons, most notably the grand prize at PennApp's XIV, which was pretty one of the largest in the world. But but just for anybody that's interested in getting into this space and developing in this space, I think an idea, and not only an idea, but something that you can see this technology having an impact on, because not everything is going to be affected by this technology, not everything is going to be easier. And so, as a developer myself, I find myself, having to think, like, how can making something more immersive, as far as in the case of VR, how can making something more immersive impact this industry, and how can I make an application that will not only make it more immersive, but make it that will actually make it easier and make it more immersive. And so whether it's medicine or education or just all these different industries, whichever one it is, try to if you're a developer out there, try to kind of hone in on like what specific part of this industry do I want to improve, and then say like, okay, so which of these technologies would be more would make more of an impact, and that's kind of where I find myself starting. And if I can do that, then then it's kind of just making it happen from there.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I really appreciate you giving the insight. So I know you said you went to Drexel, but you also got your Udacity degree. Do you want to go a little bit into that?
Sure. So yeah, I got a degree from a website called Udacity. Udacity is basically a website where you can do. They have a lot of different degrees, online degrees, and they're actually called nano degrees. It was founded by Google. And basically, anybody can basically just go online, and they have degrees in all different innovative fields. And so for me in particular, I saw this as an opportunity to, get certified in this industry, because, getting certified is, it's important for future employers to be able to see that, your stuff. Because I mean, having to prove your skills is, it's something that if you can minimize the amount of stuff you have to prove, that's always best. And so I think getting some kind of a certification, or anything really, but like, there's just so many online certifications and courses and stuff that you can take. So Udacity is definitely something that if you're interested in any field that's like innovative and new, like, for example, like self-driving cars, or they have a self-driving car nano degree. They also have I think they have an artificial intelligence nano degree, but they just have all these different ones. And so if you're somebody that's interested in, pursuing some kind of an innovative field, I would definitely go after a Udacity degree, or even, take some courses on a website called Udemy. Udemy is a website that has a lot of different courses that you can take so that you can get certified. So,
Yeah, I think that's what's really interesting about the whole tech, VR, AR, software development industry is, you don't really have to go through these big universities to be certified and learn. Yep. It's more about being hands-on anyways. And so the earlier you can start doing and developing some of those experiences, the better off you'll be. And, you're 21, 22 years old, and, you've got, 3-4 years of experience under your belt already. And, you're kind of setting yourself up for really taking advantage of this emerging industry such as virtual reality and augmented reality.
Thank you. So it's just such a cool, it's such a cool thing to do on a daily basis. And if you're interested in learning about VR, AR technology, then I would definitely start by just learning how to develop for it, or even just buying yourself like there's headsets called the Google Cardboard, but I think Google Cardboard is more for the hacker type. So if I would say if you want some kind of an affordable headset to start developing with, I would recommend the Google Daydream View, or the Oculus Go. I think those are two pretty good options. So, or even if you're interested in augmented reality, if you have an iPhone, you can update to, if you update your phone to iOS 11, you can use AR Kit. That's basically Apple's version of augmented reality that is built into the phone itself. So you can test that out. Just download some AR apps and test it out. Or you can, if you have an Android, you can download AR, you can update your phone and try out some AR core applications. So,
very good. I think this is a very informative podcast for a lot of future VR and AR developers. And I hope, they find this podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. I definitely, I hope they do. And I think we can make that happen. So.
I guess the one question that I would ask you right now is, what do you plan on doing in the future with this technology, or any apps you may want to share with us that you're really excited about, or any insights to Tyler Roach's future with the VR AR industry?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess, so as far as like insights, I think that honestly, I think that virtual reality and augmented reality are industries where there's a lot of potential for collaboration, and not only collaboration, but I think there's a lot of potential um, for your business, your existing business, to utilize these technologies and incorporate these technologies. And no matter what you do, whether it's medical, or whether you're in the medical field, or even let's say you're just a company that wants to showcase your product. I think there's just so many uses, and I would definitely recommend looking into this technology and how you can use it in your company, because I think it could definitely make an impact on your growth, on your overall growth. So that's, I would say that's probably the biggest insight that I've learned from working in the field and seeing all these uses and stuff. So, but okay, so just to answer the last part of your question, as far as applications go, I have recently been developing an application that I call Engage. And Engage is basically, it's an augmented reality demo that it allows you to basically converse or talk with an artificial intelligence robot, but it's not really a robot. I would say it's more of a human. So it's basically a robot in human form, but
Yeah.
to put it,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to explain. But basically, it's just like a 3D human, and you can see this person. Right now, it's just females, but in the future, there might be males as well, probably. And so so what you can do is you can actually place this avatar and place it anywhere in your room. So basically, like, you'll scan your room, and then you'll place the person inside your room, and she'll basically be standing in front of you. And you can basically ask her anything, and she will answer you. And she's got full facial, like, she's got full mouth movements that correspond to her voice, and also she's got like eye blinking and stuff. And it's a cool use of AI. It actually uses IBM Watson for the artificial intelligence part of it, and AR Core for the augmented reality part of it. I have it open source, actually. It's on GitHub right now, github.com/troach06. You can download it. It's called Engage AR. And so it's a pretty cool use of how I think the future of AI could potentially be. Obviously, there's a lot of different AI types, and a lot of different ways that AI will be used. But I can definitely see like some sort of a chat bot, but like not just a chat bot like we have now, but like some kind of like an interactive 3D, maybe even human chat bot that that companies can utilize. I think that could be pretty huge.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. A lot of things that may be going over some of our heads, but, to me, that's very technological. And, what you guys are creating is very cutting edge technology. And, like you said, it's in the future. And so you guys are working towards this. And, like you said, everything in the technology industry is exponentially happening. It's happening in front of our faces right now. People are developing on the back end, and it's going to be here before we know it. And these are the type of technologies that I'm excited about, the type of technologies that we want to share on our podcast. And we really appreciate you giving us the insight as to kind of what are some of the things that you're working on, and where you see the industry going. I hope some future VR and AR developers listen to this and maybe reach out to you. I know you're a very hands-on guy, and you're willing to share some of your knowledge, as you've mentioned. I think you've got some great things ahead of you in this space.
Thank you. Thanks for interviewing me, and I think that your business is definitely I could definitely see how it can apply to VR and AR, and just how people can utilize these tax credits for their company's benefit, and with how much VR and AR will impact these different industries. I think it's definitely going to be something you're going to want to look into.
Yeah, and it's something that we want to get the word out there to all these businesses that are developing in the virtual and augmented reality, as well as the artificial intelligence, that, hey, if you're paying wages to these developers that are creating new technologies or softwares or patents, and you're paying for the supplies for prototypes or for testing, even such as computers, cloud storage, GPUs, these are all supplies and wages and amounts paid to contractors that can be used towards the credit. And again, anywhere from 10 to 15% of all this can be used and generate federal and state tax credits. And now that it's permanent, startups less than 5 years of gross receipts and less than 5 million in gross receipts can use these tax credits to offset quarterly payroll tax to the IRS. And so one of our goals is, really to work with a lot of these startups. And, again, we really do appreciate you jumping on, and, we wish you the best of luck out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on your podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm sure we'll link up soon enough, hopefully to see you at one of these expos out here. And I know you're going to be on to some great things.
Thank you. I am looking forward to the future. So
I do also want to mention that anyone that is developing any type of new technology, whether they're in the blockchain, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, financial technology, mobile app development, or software development, and you are here in the U.S., this is something, the research and development tax credit, that you want to start looking into as far as, tax planning. Can we get our money back? And again, you don't have to be in a profitable tax position as long as you're within the first 5 years of gross receipts and you are still making less than 5 million in gross receipts. And for those who have never heard of the research and development tax credit, it is a tax credit dollar for dollar reduction in tax liabilities that is for any business developing a new product, process, software, technology, invention, or patent, and is paying wages to employees to develop this type of technology or software, as well as contractors here in the U.S., as well as supplies or materials used for testing, prototypes, computers, GPUs, cloud storage. All of these payments and amounts paid to developers can help generate research and development tax credits that is dollar for dollar reduction in year-end tax liabilities and possible, offset of quarterly payroll tax owed to the IRS for businesses less than 5 years of gross receipts and less than 5 million in gross receipts. Again, this is just a tax credit that should be taken for every business in the emerging technology space. And part of this podcast and what we do at Visionary Tax is we want to educate the CPAs, the lawyers, the tech founders, the entrepreneurs themselves about this research and development tax credit that became permanent, and to just get the word out there. We really are looking for, CPAs, lawyers, tech founders themselves, entrepreneurs, anyone in the space that's developing or has a unique project or specialty. We're looking to have join our podcast just to talk about the emerging industry as a whole, where it's going, their expertise, trying to get the word out there for yourselves. We see a podcast as being, the future of newsletters and getting your information. So feel free to reach out to us directly. You can find us online at www.visionarytaxes.com. That's TAXES.com. Email me directly at tyler@visionarytaxes.com. Or again, you can reach out directly at 310-430-2422. We'll definitely get back to you and answer any questions that you or your business may have. Thanks again. Have a great day.